Hey, this is Markus from aetest.com, and today we're going to create some cool, but yet very simple motion graphic. Check it out. So that's what we're going to create today, and I want to tell you that when I made this motion, I was very inspired by a guy called Fake Pilot. And that's what I like to do sometimes. I like to try out different techniques and different styles just to try out and learn different things. Anyway, so what we're going to learn today is expressions and play around with adjustment layers. Anyway, let's begin the tutorial. Cool, so let's get starting. Let's create a new composition. We're going to use the preset PAW D1dB widescreen square pixel. Duration to 5 seconds and press OK. And we're going to start building the scene. So first of all, we need to import the image we're going to use. So file, import file, and the head, and drag the head down to the composition. And I got this head from sxc.hu, so this is the image I'm using. So first of all, let's scale this head down a bit. So select the layer and press the S key on your keyboard for scaling. Scale it down, something like that. And we want to give this head a bit more color, so we're going to our effects and presets here and type in curves. Apply the curves to the head. And let's get into our red channel here. And let's get into our blue channel. Something like that. And let's create a white background. So we're going to layer, new solid, name it BG, and make comp size, and a white solid. Move it beneath the head. So there we go. So let's create some lines we're going to have here. So layer, new solid, line big, and this height is going to be 5 pixels. Choose some black color. There we go. And move this upward a bit. And let's create another solid. This is going to be a small line, so line small for the name, and height is going to be 3, and a color black. There we go. Something like that. There we go. And we want to have some tickish text here, so we're going to use the HTML code for an head tag, because we have an head here. So let's scale it up. Something like that. We want to have a gap here between these lines, so we're going to use the mask tool here, and something like that, and choose the mode to subtract, and copy this mask, Control C and Control V. There. Let's just move this down a bit. There we go. And I want to have some more techish text here, so we're going to write some text here, and instead of me going to write some random text here, pressing some random keys here on the keyboard, we're going to use the lorem ipsum text. So we're going to ipsum.com and generate some paragraphs here. So we take the first paragraph here, copy, and choose text tool, and hold down the mouse button and paste, and just select all text and scale it down. Maybe the font size should be 5 pixels, something like that. We can barely see text, but it's the kind of size we want. No one's going to read this anyway. So let's move this up a bit. Select text tool again and select the text and press enter here some random times here, just to divide the text. let's paste this text again. So we just Control V and press enter here again. Some random. There we go. Something like that. And let's add some other text shapes here to the head. So we're going to use the text tool to create that. So first of all, let's change the font to Arial. Arial. No. Arial. And black. Oh, bold. And choose a bigger font. Let's use the X key here. I want to have a white X here, so I just select the X here and go and choose a white color. Scale it up. Something like that. Move the X beneath the lines and text here. Something like that. And we want to have this X appearing randomly, so just scale up a bit. So we're going to animate the opacity, so I'm pressing the T for opacity, and let's set a keyframe for opacity. Click the stopwatch and move forward, and 0 to opacity, and up again. So I'll select these keyframes, copy, and paste here some random times here. So the X is blinking a bit. Cool. So let's duplicate this X. Control V. And press the U key for revealing all keyframes. And move these keyframes a bit to the right. And let's duplicate this X. And press U again. And let's move these keyframes a bit to the right again. So they are a bit off sync, this animation. So let's select X2 here and move it upwards a bit. Something like that. Let's select X3 here and move that something like here. Cool. So let's show you a cool tip that I discovered when I did this motion. So we're going to have an illustration that I made. So let's import the illustration file, the head, composition. Let's select this solid. There. First of all, let me pre-compose these 3 X's. So we're going to layer, pre-compose, compose, and X. So just hide that for a sec. And let's scale this head down to the same size as the image, so 74%. Move it down a bit. There we go. So what I want to do now is have this. Let's double click on this. So there's the white head we got here. So what I want to do is have this illustration file displaying through the X's. So we're going to choose track matte, luma matte, X. So right now there's no difference, but if I go into the X's and select X number 2 here, and I choose the fill effect, apply it to the X2 here, we have a nice red solid X here. This is kind of cool effect. This is like the X is overlapping the X beneath here, and it's transparent, so it's kind of cool effect. That's how we want it. So let's press the render. See here how it looks. Yep, looks good. So let's start animating this text reveal. So let's get into the select the lorem ipsum text here, and let's get into animate property and choose the opacity. Let's select the opacity here and drag it down to 0. And let's get into range selector and press the stopwatch for start here. and move forward almost like 2 seconds or something, and just drag it to 100%. So it looks like the text is someone's typing out the text here, like that. And we want to have the head tag here, the head text here, flying in from the left to the right. So we'll just go to our head here, press P for position. We want to have the head flying before the text starts to reveal. So I'm just pressing the position here, stopwatch there, and go left, something like that, and just drag it. By the way, I'm holding down the shift key, so the head is not moving in all different axes, so just press the shift and it will move straight. There we go. So let's pre-compose the line big and line small head and lorem ipsum text to one composition. So layer pre-compose. Let's write head. Press OK. And we're going to replace this composition with another composition later. So just go into a project here and duplicate this composition, Control D, and let's rename this to /head, because that's the N tag for head in HTML. Let's drag it down and move it forward. Maybe we should wait with that a bit until we start with animations. So just hide that one. So let's add the camera. New camera. 35 millimeters. Press OK. We have no 3D layers here, so just go into our head here and 3D. We want them to be 3D. We want that one. That one should be 3D as well. These shouldn't be 3D. The background shouldn't be 3D either. So that's right. So let's add a camera controller, and I mean a null object. Null object. And let's make this into 3D. Let's parent the camera to the null. So what I want to do now is have some random motion here. So we're going to use the wiggle expression. And for you who don't know what the wiggle expression is it's a function for making the layers or camera move randomly back and forth. So we're going to a null object here. Let's press the P key, and I'm going to press Alt click on the position stopwatch here. So click, just expand this window a bit. So let's write wiggle, left parenthesis, and wiggle have two input values. First value is how many times the wiggle expression is going to be activated in 1 second. So 5 times. It's going to wiggle 5 times a second, comma, and 50. And this 50 is how many pixels it should wiggle. So right parentheses and press enter, and let's see what we got here. Cool. So we have two problems here now. First problem is this wiggle is going to wiggle through the whole animation. Second problem is we want to have the wiggle only to wiggle up and down with the camera. So we're going to add some extra code here. So first of all, let's go down here, and we want to have the right only affect the y axis. So what we need to do is write like this, some brackets, because this is an array. An array means that this position has 3 different values, x, y, and z. So what we need to do is write value brackets 0, because this array starts with 0, 0, 0, 1, and 2, comma, value 1, value 2. So, and we need to put this wiggle into a variable, so we write w equals that, and just press a semicolon there, don't forget that, semicolon, semicolon. Cool. So right now we have no wiggle on this, so what we need to do is just go into here and delete the value. You need to have the 1 here still, but just press W for this variable. So right now it's just moving up and down. Cool. So what we want to do now is control this wiggle, so just press enter here. Just move it down a bit. And press the null object first. So what we need to do is add the effect expression controls, slider control. And now we need to start. And let's write x equals slider, semicolon. And let's put this x value to how much the wiggle is going to wiggle. So x. So right now we have no wiggle, but if I use this slider and move it upwards, I mean add some more value, you'll see the it will wiggle. Cool. I'm just going to add some more here. 10 times a second. That should be right. Yep. And we want to add some similar expression to the head as well, because we want to have the head moving just left and right. So first of all, we need to go down to our head here and add the same slider control here. And let's get into our position. Just going to here first. Copy this, Control C. Let's alt click on the position and paste. So we want to change this value to how it was from the beginning and move the W to here. So I use the slider. Just need to set this back to 0. There we go. And to enhance the effect that is kind of chaos thing, we're going to add some more blur to it. So we're going to use the fast blur effect. There we go. And what we want to do is parent this slider to the blurriness. So we want to have this value down here. So alt click on the blurriness. Let's see here. Pick whip the slider value. We only want to have the blur dimensions into horizontal. Cool. So let's set this slider back to 0. And let's start. Let's begin with adding an adjustment layer. And I'm gonna add the fast blur to this adjustment layer, and I'm gonna add the level effects, because I want to start this animation with a flash. So let's get to beginning of our animation here, and let's boost this horizontal value to something like this to make it brighter, and let's choose more blurriness to it. repeat edge pixels. And let's start animating these values. So press U to reveal all keyframes. Move forward and reset, reset. There we go. And let's get into our axis here. Move this to the right. And I want to have some axis here in the beginning of the animation, just to like start off a bit. There we go. Just need to set these back to 0 opacity. And the axis, let's see here. One should be 0, 0, and 0. Great. So it reveals, and somewhere around here you want to have some wiggle to the head. So it's our head here, and set a keyframe for the slider. Move forward. Something over here. Set it to 100. Move forward and back to 0. Just a quick wiggle. There we go. And the text is revealing. And when the text is done revealing, we want to move the camera down. So around here. Let's set a keyframe for the position on the null objects. Set a keyframe there. Move forward. Move downwards. Something over here. Like that. And we want to add some wiggle to this as well. So going to our null object here. Set a keyframe for the slider, just a tad bit before the last keyframe here. There we go. 100. And move forward. Back to 0. Let's see how that looks. So I see some problems here. First problem is that the axis ends here. So what we need to do is collapse this composition. Press this icon. Nothing happened. Oh, wrong. I want to collapse the X. There we go. And the axes are a bit offset now. I think that's alright, by the way. Want to add some wiggle when the X is revealing. So get into our null again. And when it starts around here, want to add some to the slider. So press U. There we go. Keyframe, move forward. 100. Back to 0. Need to, and I want to end the this animation with 0 in opacity. So just set it down to 0. 0. And disappears. And when the camera is moving downwards, we want to play around with the adjustment layer a bit. So get in here. Let's set a keyframe for the histogram. So press U again. Histogram, move forward. Set it to like something like that. I'm gonna play around with the blurriness as well, so boost it up to around 15 pixels. And let's reset and reset. Cool. So let's use the this one. So when it gets around here, we want to replace this composition with this composition. So we just crop down this layer, move this forward, and get into this composition. I'm just going to double click on this because I'm using CS4. If you're using CS3, you just need to hold down the Alt key and double click. There we go. Let's move forward and then slash. I want to play around with the adjustment layer here as well when the start wiggling. Around there. Histogram and blurriness. Move forward. Do the same thing here, just add some weird contrast. Move the blurriness just a tad, maybe. There. Reset and reset. Need to reveal this one. Cool. Well, let's select the motion blur from this layer. This one as well. The head and this one as well. Need to go into our head here composition and apply motion blur on all these layers. Apply it here as well. There we go. Let's preview and see how it looks. I think I want to add some, I mean the animation looks good, but I want to add some more wiggle in the beginning. So just go in here and pressing the head here. Set the keyframe for these sliders. So go down here, move, set it to 100, move forward, and something like that, back to 0. So it has a bit more wiggle here in the beginning when it reveals. So that's the end of my tutorial. Hope you guys have enjoyed it and have been inspired to create some cool motion graphics. This has been Markus from Untitled.com. Thanks for listening.